Dear listener, welcome to Candle Sleep Tales, a nightly journey for you where we delve into stories designed to calm your evenings and release the burdens of the day. These tales create an environment in which the world seems to pause, leading us all into unfamiliar territories, yet strangely familiar. Tonight's narrative is titled, "The Island That Emerges Only in Fog." It begins with a shipwreck and ends upon waters as calm as breath, a journey through streets that remember you, orchards that change before your eyes, and wonders so strange and gentle they will linger in your mind long after waking. It is a story of awe, of being altered not by fear or loss, but by beauty too great to keep. If you find solace here, I invite you to like this tale, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Candle Sleep Tales, so that each night we may walk new paths together. Your presence here shapes the stories we tell. Now, close your eyes. Let the tide draw you nearer. The fog is waiting. You wake upon a slope of broken timbers and torn canvas, the smell of salt thick and stinging in your throat. The sea does not roar. It sighs, as though it has carried you far, and now has nothing left to give. Cold water gathers and slips away from your hands, leaving your palms raw, your sleeves heavy. When you open your eyes fully, there is no shore as you know it. Only a series of wet stone steps leading upward into a pale, endless fog. They glisten as though freshly polished, though no one stands here to tend them. The planks of your vessel lie scattered like driftwood toys, their edges worn to softness. You cannot tell how long you have been here. The light is the color of old bone, neither day nor night. Somewhere above, past where the steps vanish into the white, something knocks, not the sharp crack of wood or the rattle of wind, but a slow, rhythmic sound, like a door half closed in a gentle breeze. You rise. The stones are cold through the soles of your feet, slick with threads of moss. Each step you take sends tiny rivulets trailing down toward the sea, though the tide is retreating rather than advancing. The waterline falls away as you climb, revealing more of the strange stairway. The sound of the waves fades with each upward pace until they are no more than a memory. The fog moves oddly here. It does not roll or curl, but holds itself still, as if it has been poured into the world and left to settle. Your breath vanishes into it without trace. You glance back once. The wreck is smaller now, the sea behind it unnervingly flat. No wind stirs the surface, no gulls wheel above. You listen for the knocking again. It has not grown louder, but it persists, patient and measured. The sound draws you onward, and though you cannot say why, you feel certain there is no returning the way you came. The last trace of the ocean disappears into silence. Only your footsteps remain, muffled against the wet stone. Somewhere ahead, the knocking waits. The basin. But the creatures in the pools below have not moved, and their stillness feels like a warning. A bead of water slides from your brow down the bridge of your nose. You take it as your sip and continue upward. The climb grows steeper. Moss thickens beneath your feet, slick and springy at once, and your legs ache with the strain. The duet of knock and drip remains steady, but the silence between each sound grows heavier, as though the island is listening in return. The pools thin out, their glow dimming, replaced by bare stone wet with a constant, slow seep from above. The light in the fog grows brighter, though it refuses to show you its source. You do not look back. The sea is gone now, swallowed by silence, and the steps lead only forward. Somewhere above, the knocking waits, patient as breath, waiting for you to arrive. The steps end without ceremony, spilling you into a street that should not exist here. It lies in perfect stillness, paved with flat stones worn smooth by countless feet, their surfaces slick with the same breath of mist that coats your hair and lashes. Yet no sound rises when you walk upon them. Your steps are swallowed instantly, as if the air itself has grown too heavy to carry echoes. The fog clings low, folding itself between the houses on either side. They stand tall, but lean inward toward one another, as if conspiring over some shared secret. Their eaves are heavy with moisture, dripping steadily into the narrow channel between the paving stones. The scent here is strange, old timber steeped in rain, dust that has not been disturbed in decades, and beneath it all a faint sweetness, like fruit kept too long in a closed room. Every door is ajar. None are flung wide, but each is open just enough to hint at shadowed interiors. The wood is dark with age, the grain deep and furrowed like riverbeds long dry. Iron hinges are mottled with green, yet there is no sign of rust's decay spreading further. You step toward the nearest threshold, the air warmer here than in the open street. A thread of your own breath curls ahead of you into the dimness. Inside, the air is thick with the memory of things long past. The scent of a kitchen you once knew, a room you left years ago and never returned to. A table waits in the center, set for a meal. The plates are bare, the utensils placed with care, the chairs drawn out just enough to suggest recent use. On the table lies an object that halts you in the doorway, a small trinket you lost long ago, in another place entirely. It sits as though it has always been there, untouched, without a film of dust. You withdraw into the street, unsettled but not afraid. The fog shifts with you, its edges drawing closed around the space you have left behind. In the next house you enter, there is nothing but a single mirror fixed to the far wall. It does not show you as you are now, but as you were years ago. Your face rain-slick, your eyes holding some unnamed hope. When you lift your hand, the reflection remains still, watching you with quiet patience. House after house reveals its own fragment, the muffled ticking of a clock that should have stopped, a scarf you have never worn yet somehow recognize, a window that opens onto a landscape you know is hundreds of miles away. Each doorway is a whisper of something familiar, each interior an echo. The street winds onward through the fog, lined with these silent invitations. You cannot see its end, but you feel the island's quiet attention upon you, arranging its pieces with care. The silence here is not void, it is full, saturated with presence, as if the air is listening to your thoughts and storing them. And so you walk on, deeper into the street of unfastened doors, carrying with you the weight of all you have seen and all you have yet to find. Beyond the last of the leaning houses, the fog begins to thin just enough for shapes to emerge in the distance, a slope that seems to shimmer with subtle motion. As you draw closer, you find yourself standing before an orchard, the trees arranged in gentle rows that wander and curve as though planted according to the contours of some hidden design. Their trunks are slender, their bark pale and smooth as river stone, and their branches bear leaves in every stage of transformation. Here, the leaves change not with the season, but with the moment. You watch one turn from deep summer green to burnished copper, then to a shade of silver that catches and holds the dim light. The shift is unhurried yet constant, as if the trees are breathing in color and exhaling it in another form. The movement is hypnotic, the kind that lulls the mind into stillness. The air beneath the canopy is fragrant with a scent unlike anything you have known. Bright like citrus, warm like honey, threaded through with something sharp that almost stings the back of your throat. Fallen fruit lies scattered on the ground, round and smooth, some whole, others split open. From within the open ones, small white birds emerge, their feathers damp, their black eyes fixed on you. They make no sound as they step out into the grass, shaking themselves dry in tiny, precise motions. The birds follow you as you walk between the rows, their steps silent, their gaze unblinking. When you pause, they pause. When you turn, they shift in unison, always keeping the same distance between you and them. They seem to be escorting you rather than pursuing, as though guiding you to some unseen place deeper in the orchard. In the heart of the grove, you come to a tree broader and older than the rest. Its trunk is twisted into a great spiral, and its branches arc overhead to form a natural dome. The light here is different, warmer, thicker, as though filtered through amber. Beneath this tree, the ground is bare of fallen fruit. The birds stop at its edge, tilting their heads in the same direction, and you realize they will not cross into its shadow. You step forward alone. The tree's bark hums faintly under your hand, a low vibration that travels up your arm and into your chest. High above, its leaves shift in slow waves of gold and silver, each change sending down a faint cascade of motes that dissolve before they reach the ground. You stand there for what could be minutes or hours, the island's quiet breathing all around you. When you finally turn to leave, the birds are gone. The orchard feels emptier without them, though the shifting leaves still mark the passage of time in their strange, wordless way. The path forward beckons, and you step toward it, carrying the echo of that humming bark within you. The path beyond the orchard descends gently, the fog thickening once more until the world narrows to a soft tunnel of muted shapes. Beneath your feet, the ground changes from soil to smooth stone, cool and slightly damp. The scent of water reaches you before the sound, though the air carries no hint of salt, only the crisp, faintly metallic aroma of fresh rain held in shadow. Each breath feels cooler, as though the air here has been resting undisturbed for years. At last, the fog parts enough to reveal a narrow canal, its surface utterly still. It runs between high walls of dark stone that rise just above your head, their tops fringed with moss and drooping vines. The water's color is unlike any river or lake you have seen. It holds no reflection of the pale sky, no shimmer from the glow of unseen sources. Instead, it seems to be a window into another place entirely, an unbroken pane of glass that somehow breathes. You lean closer, drawn by the strange depths. Beneath the surface, scenes unfold in perfect clarity, streets you once walked, faces you have known, windows you passed on evenings long gone. Some are memories, vivid in their detail, others are moments you do not recognize but somehow feel you have been near. A figure you know, someone you have spoken with, laughed with, kneels beside the water in one scene, their lips moving as though speaking to you. Yet when you call out, the sound dies in your throat, swallowed instantly by the air. A faint ripple crosses the surface, not in the water, but in the image itself, and the figure vanishes, replaced by another place entirely, a field beneath a lowering sky, grass bending as though stirred by wind you cannot feel. You step back, unsettled, the pull of the visions both inviting and dangerous. Small boats are moored along the stone banks, their wooden hulls dark with age but free of rot. They rock ever so slightly, though the water is without current. Their mooring ropes are tied with knots unfamiliar to you, loops and twists so intricate they seem ornamental rather than practical. In one boat, you see a blanket folded neatly and a small lantern that glows with a steady, gentle light, though no flame burns within. In another, a bundle of dried flowers lies bound with silver thread. You walk along the canal's edge, your fingertips trailing against the cool stone. Every so often, the images beneath the water shift, showing places that feel impossibly far from one another. A snow-covered hill, a narrow sunlit lane, a room lit only by a single candle. Each shift is seamless, as though the canal itself holds countless worlds layered just beneath its skin, pressing against the surface in patient silence. The air grows denser as you walk, thick with a stillness that is not empty but listening. At one point, you pause beside a section of wall where the stone is warmer beneath your hand, and in the water below you see a scene so familiar it pulls you to your knees, yourself, years younger, seated in a room you remember in perfect detail, a book open before you. The younger you lifts their head as if sensing something, but their gaze passes through you. At a bend in the waterway, you find a narrow bridge arcing over the canal. It is made of the same dark stone, but worn smoother, its surface bearing faint patterns like the flow of long-forgotten rivers. Standing at its center, you look down to see yourself in the water, not as you are now, but as you might be years from this moment, older, with lines at the corners of your eyes and a look that is both peaceful and impossibly far away. You do not know if this is a promise or a warning. You cross the bridge slowly, the silence pressing close, the images shifting languidly beneath you. On the other side, the canal narrows until the walls almost touch, then vanishes into the fog. You linger one last moment, feeling the weight of all you have seen. The stillness here is deep, ancient, the kind that could hold you forever if you let it. And so, with deliberate care, you step away, leaving the canal to its quiet dreaming. The path narrows as you leave the canal behind, winding upward between ridges of black basalt slick with moss. The fog swirls here, drawn into slow spirals by some hidden wind that does not touch your skin. You climb steadily, the incline steepening, until the air seems to grow lighter, clearer, as though the island has lifted you towards some unseen height. At last, you crest the ridge and find yourself standing before a vast circular basin carved into the heart of the island. Its walls rise steep and sheer, veined with vines that shimmer silver in the dim light. The basin is silent except for the faint susurrus of water, a sound both near and impossibly far away. At its center, a column of water rises, not falls, pouring upward in a smooth, unbroken stream that vanishes into the fog above. Around this pillar drift enormous jellyfish, each the size of a small room, their bells glowing faintly in colors that shift like the sky at dawn. Their tendrils trail long and slow, curling in the air as if they were submerged in some invisible sea. You take a step closer, and the ground beneath you yields softly, as though cushioned. The air is warmer here, tinged with the scent of fresh rain. Each breath feels fuller, as if something in the basin's light fills your lungs more completely than air alone. One jellyfish drifts toward you, its great bell tilting. You hear a sound, soft chimes, delicate and resonant, yet there is no metal here, no breeze to stir them. The tones seem to come from within your own bones, vibrating gently in time with your heartbeat. For a moment, the world narrows to the glow of its body and the quiet music it carries. You circle the basin slowly. The vines along the walls sway without wind, their leaves flashing silver when they turn, their roots disappearing into cracks that seem far too narrow to hold them. The upward flowing column of water remains constant, unbroken, a stream that knows no beginning or end. Looking down into the basin floor, you notice small pools ringed with pale stones, each pool reflecting not the jellyfish above, but the sky beyond the fog, bright, clear, and scattered with clouds that move in ways you do not see overhead. You kneel beside one, and for an instant you think you feel sunlight warm your cheek. The chimes grow louder as the jellyfish drift in a slow circle around the water column. Their movement is graceful, unhurried, and the longer you watch, the more you feel as though you are standing in the presence of something both impossibly old and impossibly gentle. When you finally turn to leave, you glance back once. The basin seems larger now, the jellyfish more numerous, the water rising higher into the fog. You carry the echo of the chimes with you, a sound that remains in your chest long after it has faded from the air. The path ahead descends into mist again, but you walk with the sense that some part of you is still there, standing at the heart of the hollow of the sky, listening to the music of the upward water. The descent from the hollow of the sky winds into a narrow corridor of fog, the ground beneath your feet leveling out into a broad, flat causeway. The silence here is almost total, broken only by the faint whisper of your own breathing. After the chimes and light of the basin, this quiet feels thick, pressing against your ears. Ahead, the mist brightens in rhythmic pulses, as though responding to your steps. The glow resolves into a series of lanterns suspended along a bridge that arches gently over a misted hollow. The lanterns burn without flame, their light steady and warm, casting pools of gold upon the pale boards beneath them. They sway slightly on unseen currents, the light spilling across the fog in long, soft ribbons. As you step onto the bridge, the wood gives a faint creak, though no echo returns from the void below. The air grows warmer, carrying the scent of something faintly resinous, like pine sap and old paper. Each lantern you pass hums almost imperceptibly, a sound you feel more than hear, as though the light itself carries a vibration. The span should be short, you can see the other side, but the more you walk, the more the far end recedes. The lanterns grow denser, hanging closer together, their light mingling in a haze that softens the world to a golden blur. Shapes move within that haze, not distinct, but suggestions of forms, outlines that shift as if walking alongside you, just beyond sight. At times you glimpse the curve of a shoulder, the bend of a head, the turn of a hand, gesturing faintly toward the lanterns. No voices follow these shapes, but you feel their attention, curious, patient, entirely without malice. They pass in and out of the light like swimmers in shallow water. The boards beneath your feet remain firm, though a part of you wonders whether they would hold if you stopped. You keep moving, guided by the repetition of lanterns, each one slightly different, some etched with intricate patterns that catch the light in hidden ways, others smooth and bare but glowing more brightly. A few contain what appear to be small, drifting motes, like dust caught in a sunbeam. Halfway, or what you think is halfway, you pause beside one lantern that flickers briefly. Inside you see not dust, but an image, faint and wavering, a path you have not yet walked, lined with trees you do not know. The image dissolves when you blink, leaving only the steady glow. Finally, the opposite end of the bridge begins to draw near. The golden light fades gradually into the natural grey of the fog, and the warmth in the air cools. The unseen shapes fall away, leaving you alone once more. You step off the final board and turn back. The bridge stands silent and still, the lanterns burning as they did before, swaying gently in the mist. Yet you have the sense that their light remembers you now and will mark your passing should you ever return. The fog parts ahead to reveal a wall of weathered stone, its surface overgrown with pale ivy that trembles, though no wind stirs the air. A wrought iron gate stands open, its hinges motionless, yet whispering faintly, as though they remember the sound of being swung. Beyond lies a garden unlike any you have seen. The first thing you notice is the air, alive with shifting temperatures, scents, and sounds. Here, each patch of earth holds a storm contained neatly within its borders, as if bound by invisible glass. One bed is caught in gentle rainfall, the droplets small and countless, falling in a circle no wider than your arms can stretch. The soil within is dark and fragrant, every leaf jeweled with water that never overflows its allotted space. Next to it lies a patch of soft snow, flakes drifting downward in a slow, spiraling dance. The snow does not melt even where it brushes the damp edge of the rain circle. You crouch and let a flake land on your glove. It holds its perfect form until you look away, at which point it vanishes. Elsewhere, a warm wind stirs, confined to a bed of tall grass that bends and sighs with each rush. The air in this space smells faintly of salt and something floral, like blossoms on a distant cliff. Standing too close makes the hair on your arms rise, as if the wind carries a charge. You wander deeper, finding stranger weathers still, a pocket of fine mist that glitters faintly in the dim light, a patch of dry heat shimmering above cracked soil, and one bed that holds only silence. A silence so deep it feels heavy in your chest, the way the world might sound if all air were suddenly stilled. At the garden's center stands a sundial of smooth black stone. Its gnomon casts no shadow, though the sky above the garden appears brighter than elsewhere on the island. When you place your hand on the sundial's surface, it is warm, almost too warm, as if holding the heat of countless vanished afternoons. Around you, the storms shift subtly. The rainfall becomes heavier in its circle. The snow spins faster. The warm wind grows softer. It feels as though the weather responds to your presence, adjusting its rhythm in acknowledgement. You are reminded of the silent watchers on the lantern bridge, curious but not unkind. Lingering here is both comforting and unsettling. The orderliness of the storms gives a strange peace, yet you cannot help but wonder what might happen if the boundaries failed. Would the weather spill into the rest of the island, or would the island reshape itself to contain it once more? At last, you step back through the open gate. The garden remains as you found it, each storm tending itself in quiet isolation. The whispering of the hinges fades as the fog folds in around you again, carrying you onward toward whatever waits in the mist. The fog thins as you walk, and the sound of your footsteps changes. No longer the muted press of moss or the soft scrape of stone, but a delicate chime with every step. Beneath your feet lies a beach made not of sand, but of countless small, translucent pebbles. They catch the light in subtle glints, and when they shift under your weight, they ring together in tones like wind chimes stirred by a distant breeze. The shore curves gently, its arc disappearing into pale haze on either side. At the water's edge, the sea glows from below, lit by an unseen source. Schools of fish drift in slow patterns, their bodies scattering the light into constellations that rearrange themselves as you watch. Some shimmer in silvers and blues, others glow faintly from within, leaving trails of pale fire in the water. The air here is cool but gentle, filled with a scent that blends the freshness of rain with something sweet and mineral-rich, like crushed quartz. Each inhalation feels as if it sinks deeper than your lungs, seeping into your bones. The sound of the pebble chimes and the low hum of the glowing sea merge into a single, soothing rhythm. You kneel at the shoreline and let the pebbles slide through your fingers. They are smooth and cool, yet you sense a faint vibration in each, as if they remember every wave that has touched them. A wave approaches, but it is unlike any you have known. It glides forward without crest or foam, merely a swelling of the glowing water that laps against the pebbles with a sigh too quiet to disturb the air. Out in the shallows, shapes move that are not fish. Tall, slender forms with translucent fins that rise like banners behind them. They move with an unhurried grace, turning in wide arcs, occasionally dipping their elongated limbs into the pebble bed beneath the water. Each time they do, a pulse of brighter light spreads outward. You follow the curve of the shore, and the pebbles shift in color beneath your feet. Here, pale amber, there deep green, elsewhere a soft opalescent blue. They seem to arrange themselves deliberately, the chimes changing pitch as the colors change, weaving a pattern of sound that subtly guides your steps. At one point you find a shallow tidal pool, its edges rimmed with the smallest pebbles yet, fine as grains of sand. The pool's center glows more brightly than the surrounding water, and when you lean close, you see an image on its surface, a map of the island or perhaps something greater, its lines shifting whenever you try to focus on them. The vision fades when you touch the water, leaving only the gentle glow. The further you walk, the stronger the feeling that the shore is alive, not in the way of plants or creatures, but in the way the sea breathes and the wind speaks through trees. The glass shore hums in harmony with the water, as though the two are joined in an endless conversation. When the fog begins to thicken again, the glowing water dims and the chimes grow softer. You pause for a final look at the shimmering curve of the beach, its light and sound retreating behind the mist as you step away, carrying their quiet music with you into whatever the island reveals next. The fog parts reluctantly, as though reluctant to reveal what lies ahead. The sound beneath your feet changes again, from the soft hiss of pebbles to the deep, muffled thud of soil. You find yourself standing before the base of a massive tree, so broad that its trunk seems more like the wall of a fortress than anything living. Its bark is a dark, rich brown, lined with deep grooves, like the rings of an ancient bell. A low archway has formed at its base, woven from its own roots, which twist upward and outward in great, sweeping arcs. You step inside, and the world opens around you. The tree's roots form a perfect circle, curling into thick seats and terraces, as if shaped by unseen hands. Each root seat is draped in soft moss, glowing faintly in the dim light that filters through the canopy above. The air is warm, touched with the earthy scent of fallen leaves, and something faintly floral, though you see no blossoms here. In the center of this natural amphitheater is a shallow pool of clear water, so still it appears like glass. Beneath its surface, tiny threads of light drift and curl, weaving slow patterns that seem almost to form shapes before dissolving again. The pool hums with a resonance so low you feel it in your bones more than hear it. You lower yourself onto one of the moss-covered seats. The surface yields gently, supporting you with a quiet, living strength. All around, the roots arch upward into the air before plunging back into the earth, forming vaults of wood and shadow. They are lined with small, delicate fungi that glow in shifting colors, pale green, then violet, then the warm gold of candlelight. The longer you sit, the more you become aware of the amphitheater's rhythm. There is a slow rise and fall in the air, like breathing, and you realize it is the tree itself drawing in and releasing the world around it. With each inhalation, the moss glows more brightly. With each exhalation, the glow softens, as though the entire place is caught in a shared heartbeat. A sound begins, faint at first, then growing clearer. It is a layered chorus, deep and resonant, yet without any voice you can name. It comes not from above, but from the roots themselves, vibrating gently against your feet. The sound carries no words, yet you understand it. Welcome, linger, remember. In this place, time loosens its hold. You cannot tell how long you remain seated, listening to the slow chorus, breathing with the tree. The fog outside seems distant, another world entirely. When at last you stand to leave, the moss beneath you clings faintly, as if unwilling to release you. The pool at the center sends out a final ripple, its light shifting briefly into a shape you almost recognize. Then it is gone. You step back through the root archway into the fog, the hum of the amphitheater still alive in your chest. From the root-shadowed amphitheater, a narrow path leads upward once more, winding through fog that grows steadily more luminous. The air is lighter here, carrying with it a scent unlike any before. A mingling of rain-washed stone, warm sunlight, and something bright and metallic, like the edge of a struck bell. Each step feels easier, though the climb is steep, as if the island itself is lending its strength to carry you onward. The mist begins to shimmer, refracting faint glints that dance across your hands and face. These glints sharpen into threads of light drifting in the air, each vibrating faintly with a pitch just beyond hearing. You pass through them, as though walking through strands of silk, and each leaves a brief warmth where it touches your skin. The incline steepens until you crest a final ridge, and there the world opens in a way that steals the breath from your chest. Before you lies an immense lake, so wide its far shore is lost in haze. Its surface mirrors a sky of impossible color, a shifting canvas of gold, rose, and deep cobalt. From the water rise hundreds of towers of white coral, their spiraling forms reaching upward like frozen music. Each tower is strung with bells, glass, crystal, metal, and materials you cannot name. Some are large as shields, others small as raindrops. They sway on the faintest of breezes, their tones carrying out across the water in a great, layered harmony. The sound is not a melody, but a living presence, rising and falling like the tide, resonating in your bones. A stone walkway curves out over the water, allowing you to walk among the nearest towers. As you step onto it, the sound of the bells deepens, and you realize they are not only ringing in the air, but within you, as if each note carries a memory or a truth that belongs to you, but had long been forgotten. You wander deeper into the maze of coral towers, each one unique. Some smooth and gleaming, others rough and barnacled, their bells casting reflections across the mirrored water. Small ripples spread where unseen currents touch the surface, bending the reflections into strange, beautiful shapes. The harmony of the bells shifts as you move, brightening when you pause, softening when you step forward. The air is saturated with sound, yet there is no harshness in it. The tones weave around one another with infinite patience. You feel the music in your chest, in your fingertips, behind your eyes. Pausing beside one coral pillar, you reach out to touch a bell the size of your palm. The moment your fingers meet its surface, the world sharpens. The air, the light, the very shape of the lake becomes more vivid. You see for a heartbeat the entire island from above, wrapped in its shifting fog, every path you have walked, glowing faintly as though marked by your presence. When you release the bell, the vision fades, but its peace remains. You understand then that this place is not here to test you or to keep you, but to show you something that cannot be taken away. A quiet knowing that beauty can change you without asking anything in return. As you turn to leave the sea of bells, the music rises once more, not in farewell, but in acknowledgement. You step back toward the fog, carrying the harmony with you, certain that its resonance will never entirely fade. The path from the sea of bells slopes gently downward, the air cooling with each step. The music lingers faintly, woven into the rhythm of your breath, as if the sound has taken root within you. The fog returns, soft and dense, curling around your shoulders in quiet spirals. It does not feel like an ending so much as a slowing. The island easing you toward whatever comes next. Gradually, the ground beneath you shifts from firm soil to fine grains that whisper underfoot. The scent of the sea returns, though the air is still and no waves break upon the shore. When the fog parts, you find yourself standing before a coast of deep black sand, its surface smooth as velvet. The horizon is gone, replaced by a pale, uniform light that hovers just beyond the edge of the water. The sea here is not like the one that carried you to the island. It is utterly still, a perfect mirror that reflects nothing, not the pale sky above, nor your own form. It seems less like water and more like a threshold, waiting to be crossed. You stand at its edge for a long while, listening to the silence. There is no gull's cry, no shifting pebble, only the sound of your own breath. Resting upon the sand is a small boat carved from a single log. Its wood is pale and smooth, as if shaped by both careful hands and the long patience of the sea. Inside, a single oar lies across the seat, beside a folded cloak of soft, dark fabric and a water skin that smells faintly of home. The arrangement is deliberate, expectant. You step closer, placing a hand upon the boat's rim. The wood is warm beneath your palm, as though it has been waiting in the sun, though no sun shines here. The cloak is heavier than it appears, its folds carrying a scent you cannot name, but which stirs something familiar in your chest. As you prepare to step into the boat, something small stirs near the base of the nearest dune. From the folds of black sand emerges a creature no larger than your palm. A pale, long-limbed crab with a shell the color of milky glass. It regards you with eyes like tiny beads of polished obsidian. Without hesitation, it climbs into the boat, settling neatly beside the folded cloak. The crab's shell catches the dim light, scattering it in muted rainbows that fade almost as soon as they appear. Its limbs move with deliberate precision, and when it stills, it holds itself as if carved from crystal. You feel a quiet gratitude toward it, not for protection, nor for company in the usual sense, but because it is a piece of the island willing to cross into your world. It carries with it the same wordless acceptance the island has shown, no demand, no question, only presence. A warmth spreads in your chest at the thought that this creature will live on beside you, a reminder that somewhere beyond the ordinary edges of the map, the island waits. The stillness of the shore deepens. Behind you, the fog holds the rest of the island at bay. Ahead, the motionless sea offers a final passage. You understand that there will be no chase, no parting word. The island does not demand you leave, nor does it ask you to stay. It has shown you what it wished, and now the choice lies quietly in your hands. You set the oar in its notch and lower yourself into the boat. The black sand shifts just enough to release you to the water's edge. The boat rocks gently as it touches the mirror-like surface, and in that moment you sense the faintest ripple beneath you, as if something unseen has acknowledged your decision. With a steady push, you drift away from the shore that faces nowhere, the pale light ahead deepening with each slow stroke. Behind you, the island disappears into the fog, its wonders folding themselves back into silence. The glass-shelled crab remains at your side, still and patient, a small, living fragment of the island's mystery that will travel with you into whatever comes next.